Of all the reasons Vice President Harris is so equipped to defeat Donald Trump, her biggest advantage may be her record on abortion. Here's part of an ad that reproductive rights advocate Hadley Duvall recorded for what was then the Biden-Harris campaign last month.
First thing I was told to me when I saw that positive pregnancy test was you have options. And, you know, if Roe v. Wade would have been overturned sooner, I wouldn't have heard that. And then it had me thinking that there's someone who doesn't get to hear that now. Girls like me across the country are suffering. Their futures are being ripped away.
Joining us now is reproductive rights advocate Hadley Duvall. Hadley, I remember the first time I saw that ad, and I was speechless at the end, because you're right. There are a lot of women right now across the country who do not have options. Talk a little bit about your advocacy in the wake of this election. I'm sure this was not on your bingo card to be doing.
It definitely was not. It has been an amazing journey, don't get me wrong, but obviously a very tough one. It is not even something I ever planned to speak about publicly, and to now be doing that on a national level is so surreal. But to know that I am making an impact, and I know that because I have survivors reach out to me and tell me that I've helped them find their voice, or I've helped their family see why choice is important. And, you know, that means so much to me. So because of that, I will continue to do it. And it's been really amazing meeting so many amazing people.
Hadley, the interesting part of your story is the story of a lot of women. And the fact that you're able to help frame and connect that dot from your own personal experience, I think has been really effective in translating up for folks exactly what is at stake here. It's not just the constitutional idea of Roe. It is the fundamental idea of choice that you have as an individual, which a lot of folks tend to forget, particularly in the Christian space, that's the one thing that God gave all of us, right? You know, it's that thing called free will. And so when you translate that into the political space, it becomes complicated. And so it's important that you have these voices that sort of tell their story and frame that. I know it's been hard for you in a lot of ways because you're put in the spotlight, as you said. This is, as Simone said, it wasn't on your bingo card. But it is important that you're here now and sharing that side of this conversation. You have Axios reporting on J.D. Vance's attack on childless women, and making a note that an attack on Vice President Kamala Harris for not having biological children has spurred intense backlash from celebrity voices, the internet's cat ladies, and her own blended family. So you can see how, not just in the framing of your story, but how other stories are connected to the underlying idea that decisions that you have to make for yourself, whether to have a child or not have a child, to start a family or not start a family, that's really what's being violated here.
Absolutely. That is 100% what's being violated. And I can only speak for being a survivor, and that's why I'm so adamant on that part of the choice. But as we can see in society, it has not been a secret that there are women who, with wanted pregnancies, who are needing this care, and they don't have the access to that. They are, wanting to better themselves and protect themselves because they have other kids at home, and they are still not able to get that care. And it's not about being pro-abortion. It's not about it's really not even political. It's simply about wanting to be in charge and in control of yourself and knowing what's best for your future, because everybody is living their own thing right now, and everybody's situation is so unique. And what one person can handle financially, mentally, physically, the next person cannot, and that's okay. So we don't need to base our laws off of one, scenario when there's obviously a very big gray area that it's not really the politician's job to be in.
Hadley, when you started telling your story, and most people, it seems like so long ago, but most people may not remember that you originally told your story in an ad for the Beshear for Governor campaign for Andy Beshear. We want to play a piece of that for folks so they can see that, and then we want to talk on the other side.
Anyone who believes there should be no exceptions for rape and incest could never understand what it's like to stand in my shoes. To tell a 12-year-old girl she must have the baby of her stepfather who raped her is unthinkable. I'm speaking out because women and girls need to have options.
You said, I'm speaking out because women and girls need to have options. That is something that I've continuously heard from you over the course of these last couple of months. I guess in the time we have left with you, what do you hear from folks who see you, who may have come across you on social media or have seen any of the ads that you've been in, and who come up to you and say, why do you feel like you need to talk about this now? What do you say to people about just telling your story? Because I'm struck by the fact you said it's not political, because you're right. This is something that, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent, this affects all people across our country.
Yeah, so it's not political, it's very personal. And I like to tell a lot of people that. And really, it should be personal for so many people, because you know somebody who it's personal for. And that in itself should be enough. But, you know, it really keeps me going to know that when there is a survivor who reaches out to me and says, you know, you make me feel seen. Because I know what it's like to just want to feel seen, to just want to be heard, to just be screaming internally and wondering why nobody is coming to save you as a little child. And, you know, if I would have seen somebody who was strong and in the face of the media, even when they were probably receiving some backlash about something so controversial, you know, maybe I would have felt a little more comfortable to speak up. Maybe I would have been a little more educated on what was really going on with me and in my house. And, you know, that's why I do it, because if I could just help one person find their voice, or if I can just change the mind of a few individuals and really get a conversation going, then, you know, I've fulfilled a very important purpose that I had a lot of trauma from. And it's really just taking the trauma and flipping it into something good and being the light. And being to do that is healing for me.